I'm legally insane, and you're watching episode 2 of my brand new Nintendo Wii Game Prices Are Going Up series. I did the Wii U previously, and I just completed the 69 Xbox 360 game prices that were going up and continue to go up, by the way, and will continue to go up in the long term. Pick any game out of those 69, the price is up. Okay, and guess what? When I started that Xbox 360 prices series, I would get the occasional troll in the comments, plenty of them actually, especially when I started early. I got in before the rest of YouTube figured out that the prices were going up. Yeah, I started making videos about that. And I would get the occasional troll. It was a lot more common than you think it was in the early days, and they'd be like, oh, the Xbox 360 prices aren't going up. I can still find them for $3. But you got to also understand, these trolls have no idea what they're talking about. These people are legally retarded. Okay, that's what these people are. I'm legally insane, and they're legally retarded. They don't know the difference between a Halo 3 and an Operation Darkness. They don't understand. And also, they don't understand collecting in general. Every single console before the Nintendo Wii, before the 360 and the PS3, all the prices have gone up. It's a generational thing. Okay, when the people at a certain stage in the lifespan of the console, and especially when the people that grew up on that console get older and start getting disposable income, that's when the prices of those consoles really start to move. Okay, I don't want to get too much into that because we're talking Nintendo Wii today. And the Wii is the lesser of the 360 and the PS3 consoles. It's the least popular, which typically will mean that the prices will never get as high as the PS3 and the 360. The rare games will always be a little bit cheaper. It's the poor man's console. It always has been the poor man's console. Hell, it was $99 Canadian brand new at one point. The console itself. Right? It's not as popular, but it's going to get popular, and it will continue. It is getting popular, and it will continue to get popular. And it's just like everyone said, hey, no one's ever going to collect for the Xbox 360. No one's collecting for that. Yeah, I had tons of trolls, man. Well, everyone's saying that about the Wii right now, today. And it ain't going to last. And I'm going to show you why as we go through 100 Nintendo Wii game prices that are going up. 100. And because the list is so large, though, you got to keep in mind some of these games are going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. In no particular order, let's start with game number 5. I've already gone through the first 4 games in the previous video. I will link all previous videos below. So let's start with a rare game, a little bit of a rare one, very low print run. Where is it? Very low print run game that you probably don't know about. The only people that would know about this game are basically hardcore Wii fans and or you love Wii shooters. And I'm talking motion control shooters. I'm talking light gun games. On rails light gun games. This is Gunblade, New York, and LA Machine Guns. Rage of the Machines, which was the sequel to Gunblade New York. These are arcade games. You're going to have a hard time showing you the arcade games, but there's 2 pictures. And one of them was from, I think it was Gunblade New York, came out in 1995 or 1996. And the sequel came out in 1998, I believe. So these are like old school retro, very retro arcade games. You got to understand this game having come out in so this came out in 2010. So you got to understand, even back then these games were considered very retro. And Sega, this is published by Sega, by the way, so you know there's high quality involved. But you got to understand, even back in 2010, these were nothing more than retro arcade ports. These weren't like modern. These ain't pushing the Nintendo Wii graphics to its limit. Okay, so that's something that you need to be aware of. This is actually part of the Arcade Hits Pack. Sega Arcade Hits Pack. I think they were if sales had gone well, they would have come out with more of these. And the reason why there's two games in one is because, well, they're kind of old games and they're kind of short games. We're talking like 20 minutes apiece to beat each one of these games. But keep in mind, they are two-player co-op. And they may be short, but they're still hidden gems that ain't nobody know about. Nobody knows about this game, ain't nobody talking about this game. On rails, on rail shooter. You're basically flying around in various vehicles depending on which game that you're playing. Gunblade, you're basically in a helicopter and you're just mowing enemies down with a machine gun. That's part of the gimmick. You're using machine guns. Best played two-player co-op? Low print run. I'll get into that in a minute. And in fact, you know what? Hell, throw up the chart right now. Let's pull up the chart. But before we pull up the chart, CIB, of course. So, like I said, the game is rare. Did not get the best reviews. One of the main arguments is that these should have been cheap, perhaps digital-only games, in fact, or they should have put more games on the pack. So maybe give us 4 arcade games instead of 2 to kind of make it be more worth its money. But like I said, Sega probably knew that, and they were just dipping their toes in the water. I can just about guarantee that's what they were planning with this. They were dipping their toes in the water, trying to see, is there a market for this? And that's why the print run was so low. They didn't do reprints, unlimited reprints back in the day, okay? They would typically do one giant print run based on what they estimate they could get sales for. So this chart on the right-hand side, for those that are new, is in US dollars. And these numbers down here are in Canadian dollars. I do that because I'm Canadian. My brain understands Canadian dollars better than American dollars. So if you tell me something is $30 US, I don't really understand. That sounds kind of a little bit cheap to me. So I need to know what the conversion is. I'll show you both. Let's switch over to USD real quick. This is trading for complete inbox roughly $83.78 a day. This is a rough estimation, may or may not include shipping. Condition plays a factor in how much you'll end up paying or how much you can get selling, etc. But let's rewind time and go all the way back to the bottom, where this chart bottomed out in what appears to be 2015. Back when nobody on the planet was talking about collecting for the Wii. In fact, everyone was selling their Wii games for very cheap on top of that, because I bought a whole bunch of mine back then. EB Games. I was even getting brand new games on friggin' clearance. I'm pretty sure they were on clearance. I'll talk about one of those coming up next, right after this one. So from that bottom, 2015, all the way to, where did this peak? August 2022. This is basically a straight line up. You would draw, if I could draw lines on this chart, this would be a nice straight line up for roughly 7 years. This went on a 7-year tear, going up in price, while all the trolls who have no idea what they're talking about were screaming about ain't nobody buying Wii games. Okay, why is the price going up? Price is going up because of supply and demand. That's why. That's the only reason the price goes up. Supply and demand. If there's more buyers than sellers, the price is going to go up. So since that peak, we dipped down, and this would be what I would call a phase 1 move. That's a 7-year phase 1 move. Sometimes the phases are a lot shorter, but typically these retro games, most of the time, they move in phases. Okay, they might dip down, they might plateau, they might flatline for a while until phase or wave 2 comes. We're not at wave 2 yet. But what I wanted to point out about this chart, I'm just going to throw this out there. We won't know where this goes for a while, but I would like to look at this in another year or 6 months even, because this looks like it's starting to dip up. Okay, that's what we can see so far. And what I really want to see is if this ends up turning into a cup and handle formation. I know some of you guys are chartists out there, technical analysis guys out there. But this could very well end up turning into a cup and handle formation, which is incredibly bullish. And at the end of that formation, we would get the wave 2 move. So we would hit new highs. The chart would rocket to the moon up to, perhaps $150, for example. To show you what a cup and handle formation looks like, here's a random website that I just Googled, cup and handle formation. So here's the cup, and here it looks like we're going to form a cup. We'll see if we end up getting the handle, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get the handle, because that high, it'll probably hit that resistance. That high, that old high is going to become resistance until you break through it. But it's going to provide some resistance, allowing us to, dip down and complete the formation of this handle. And then I would expect a huge breakout. I think that's going to happen. I would really like to know if that does happen. So this game, it's not the best game. It does kind of get bashed, but I wanted to throw this out there because it is rare, okay? And what the Wii is famous for having is all of these light gun games. And right now, the market mostly rejects light gun games. But when the day comes when the Wii finally gets its day and the market comes flooding in, when that happens, if and when that happens, they're going to come looking for light gun games. Light gun games are going to be a reason why the market comes to the Wii, because you can't play light gun games today on modern televisions, and they're kind of a thing of the past. And I think at some point these games are going to become very popular again. And people are going to be flooding into the Wii, trying to buy up all of these railgun shooters. And there's a lot of them. The Wii is famous for railgun shooters. That is the Wii specialty. So even though this particular shooter is not the best one on the console, it's still going to sell very well. And there's not very many copies available. You have to understand that. So if the demand for this type of game goes up, it's going to cause the price to go up with it. So let's switch back over to Canadian dollars. It was trading for about $113. I paid, I think it was just under $90 for mine. So two types of people are going to want to buy this game. It's going in the hands of a Wii collector, such as myself, or it's going into the hands of a big fan of railgun shooters. And by the way, no one really knows why Sega decided to port these over. Because in the arcade, the only reason these games would have been popular is because you actually had machine guns. Right? It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. They're fun because you actually get machine guns. If you take away the machine gun, it's really not as fun. But obviously, okay, I know what they were doing. Okay, I'll answer my own question. They wanted you to use the Wii Zapper and have it feel like you were just holding the trigger down with 10 million bullets and firing that machine gun. So, I mean, it makes sense. The Wii's the perfect console to do it. You can only do that on the Wii. And that's why games like this are going up. Next up, we got a personal favorite of mine. Centipede Infestation. And did I mention that this is a Nintendo Wii exclusive? I mean, it should have been obvious if I didn't mention it, because you ain't going to find this on your PS3 or your 360. There's a lot of Wii exclusives out there. A lot of people forget that the Wii had a lot of great hidden gems and exclusives. Speaking of exclusives and hidden gems, Centipede Infestation is one of my personal favorites. This is not my OG copy, actually. I had an OG copy. It actually had a sticker on it. Oh, this one still has the sticker on it. Free something. Can't read that with my glasses. Free something. Missile command pack details inside. I bought this brand new back in the day. I want to point this out. I got it at EB Games. I'm going to say 2015. Remember we looked at the chart previously? Probably a lot of Wii games bottomed out 2015. I vividly remember buying it brand new. This is not my OG copy. I sold that Wii. I sold all my games. like an idiot, and then I had to rebuy everything. But I vividly remember I either paid $14.95 Canadian brand new or $19.95 brand frickin' new. And I bring that up because this might have been a discount title. It was either that cheap because they were putting the Wii games on clearance back then, which they were. The used games, they would put them out in bins. And if they didn't, at one point, if they didn't sell, every week that they didn't sell, they would lower the price the following week. They'd wait a week, lower the price again. Wait a week, lower the price again. And they kept doing that until every single game was sold because I went there every single week. But I bring that up because I just want you to know that this was probably a discount title, which is partly why, you know, you're not gonna see this game at $500. Okay. Yes, the Wii will get $500 to $1,000 games in the future. This ain't one of them. But this 100 episode series isn't about games going to just going to 500. This is about games where the price is going up. The trend is up or will be up, and you can buy it today for cheap. So what is Centipede Infestation? This is a very interesting. It's like Centipede. It's a remake of Centipede, and but with a couple of changes. Centipede / this game is a run and gun, but this game is a run and gun mixed with tower defense. So you're mostly just killing waves of centipedes and bugs, aliens, bug-looking aliens. Okay, you mostly end up with a lot of centipedes. You're basically killing them, but you can spawn towers. So, and the towers automatically shoot and help you. 2-player co-op, and it's fun as hell. I've played it multiple times, but I do got to throw out a caveat here. There's a catch. The game is notoriously easy, especially if you're on 2-player. Okay, it's very, very easy on 2-player mode. I think what they did was not change the game. This is my assumption. I don't think they changed the game from single player to multiplayer. So by adding in the second player, all it did was make the game doubly as easy. It just doubled up on how easy the freaking game is. So what I always tell people now is when you do go to play this game, select the hardest difficulty. And even then, the game's not too difficult. It just gives you less health. But it's an awesome game. You collect power-ups. So many different power-ups. And if you collect 2 or more of a power-up, it'll upgrade that particular gun even further. Very, very fun. It's meant to be played 2-player, in my opinion. You don't need to use motion controls, and it also is classic controller compatible with the Wii. 100% hidden gem. And guess what? The price is going up. Let's pull up the chart. This is a CIB chart. Again, US dollars in this chart here. So you're looking at 1720 roughly today, Canadian dollars, or 1275 USD. Hey, that sounds pretty cheap. You Americans out there, you can get this game right now for roughly $13. Yes, it's cheap, and yes, we do like cheap games. We don't we prefer to buy them as cheap as possible. Okay? I don't want to pay $500 for any of these rare games. That's why I bought all my 360 games so early, because I don't want to pay $500. Yeah, there's people out there that do want to pay $500, and I ain't one of them. You want to pay $500? Be my guest. I don't care. I'll sell you my game for $500. How about that? Now, this one ain't going to $500, but guess what? This is going to double, probably triple. At least double, minimum double, and a triple is very likely. You don't think that this could triple from here? This appears to have bottomed out around 2019, which actually most games did for a lot of those newer gen PS3, 360 console era. Flatlined since about that 2015 number. Didn't really do much. If we went 2015 and 2019 is basically the same price. And yeah, I mean, it's had its ups and downs. Nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down, but that's a straight line up, buddy. Straight line up. Constantly making new highs. Higher highs and higher lows. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see in a chart. Seems to have resistance. This is resistance around that $13 level. It's bumped up against that twice so far. Looks like it's headed right back up right now to see if it breaks out from that or not. But yeah, definitely has resistance around $13. I have a hard time breaking out. But considering this was $5 not that long ago, US dollars, do you not think that this could double to $25? Do you want to pay $25 tomorrow, or do you want to pay $12.75 today for a game like this? A fun as hell 2-player game. I'd buy it. Well, I already own it, but if I didn't own it, I'd be buying it right now. But just know it's a little bit easy. But more importantly, this was developed by Way Forward, published by Atari, but developed by Way Forward. Those are the guys that make Shantae. They don't make bad games. Way Forward makes some of the best games ever made. There's no such thing as Way Forward putting low effort into a game. So that's my proof that this is a good game. And don't take my word for it. Go watch some reviews on YouTube. See if you like it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Right? But if you do like it, do you want to pay $12.75 today or $25 US tomorrow? What's that in Canadian? 17.20 Canadian today or 35 Canadian tomorrow. Even $40. I could see this going to $40 Canadian. This is a console, Nintendo Wii console exclusive. It might have a handheld version, I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. You ain't gonna find this on your PS3, you ain't gonna find it on your 360. Let's check it. So that was game number 6. Now we're on to game number 7. Here's a real interesting one. Most of you are going to be familiar with. You're gonna be wondering, why is this up here? Manhunt 2 for the Nintendo Wii. Because those that are familiar, your immediate response is, well, why would anybody buy that, buddy? That's on the Nintendo Wii. That's a PS2 game. I can get that on the PS2. Why would the Wii version be going up in value? Who's buying the Wii version? Just get it on PS2. It's obviously going to be better on the PS2. The Wii isn't known for being very powerful graphic-wise. It's known for railgun shooters. Right? That's what it's known for. Got a lot of them. A lot of really good ones. Known for motion controls. Known for Mario games. First Mario Party, first party Nintendo games. Mario Galaxy, Paper Mario. I'll get to that in a minute, but this is a stealth action game. Very violent. Often compared to / has similarities with The Punisher. And The Punisher was not on the Wii. This game was censored to hell too. It was the only way they could even get the dang thing released. It's the sequel to Manhunt, and they improved it. All aspects of the game have been improved. Smarter AI and more execution. So basically, it's a stealth action game where you are trying to brutally murder your victims. That's basically it. In a nutshell. Famous for being violent and fun, and famous for being very, very fun. Because guess who made the game? Did you notice the logo? Just like Way Forward, these guys don't make bad games. When has Rockstar made a bad game? Name one game that Rockstar made that was bad. I can't think of any. So I want to show you something first here. First, I want to show you the PS2 chart. There's a reason for this. As you can see, this game has been tearing higher for years. Okay, and by the way, the untrained eye, they would have saw this massive run up May 2022 when it hit that big peak from $40 to 66 US dollars. That's a let's just round it and say a 50% increase. 50% plus increase. Came a violent dip, came right back down. Violent dip down. Who knows what caused that? Could have been any number of things. And then continued the uptrend. Couple of dips, look, another violent dip down, uptrend continues. So the untrained eye would have saw that big dip. They would have been screaming from the hilltops, holy hell, this thing's going to crash. It peaked out, it's going to crash. She coming back down to $15. 2019 prices, buddy, you think you're going to get this for $15 in your entire life? You're never going to get this for $15. I don't even care if they remake it and remaster it. You're still never going to get it for $15 because there's people that are going to want to collect the original, play it on the OG original console. So this is about an $84 Canadian dollar game. Shockingly, though, I immediately noticed a $145 sold listing recently. It was probably in good condition. $92, $114, $114. This is further proof that price charting is not caught up yet to the price. And also, it's kind of, it's not an exact science. Just because it says you can get it for $85 here doesn't mean you actually can get it for $85. You might have to pay shipping and taxes on top of that. $115, $107. You used to be able to get it for $75. $75, $80, $72, $72. Oh, Freg, this thing's been tearing higher in month of August. $121. Holy, man. Maybe a YouTuber talked about it. I don't know. But anyways, this is important to know. Look at this chart. The point is, it's a straight line up. Now let's switch over to the Wii. I bring this up because the Wii is the poor man's version of Manhunt 2. And the Wii version will automatically ride the coattails of the PS2 version. This happens all the time when there's a very rare and expensive game on the PS2 because the PS2 is a more collectible console. Today it is. Tomorrow, the Wii might become a much more collectible console, and therefore the Wii price that's undervalued today might start to gain some respect. And guess what? The PS3 used to command higher prices than the 360. The PS3 was always a much more collectible console than the 360. All of the 360 games that were on the PS3, where they share the same game, they were always cheaper on the 360, and in many cases, significantly cheaper. Yet they're the exact same game, and in some cases, that same game is even better on the 360. The 360, in many cases, is actually better. The best version of that game is on the 360. Whether it be no lag, better frame rate, better graphics, that sort of thing. Some games are like that. Well, that changed. That's no longer the case. It balanced out. It balanced out, and in many cases, the 360 games are now more expensive on the 360 versus the PS3. Not all of them, but for a lot of them, yes. But it wasn't like that before. It was never like that before. PS3 was 100% of the time way more pricier than the 360 version for the rare and uncommon games. We're talking rare and uncommon games here. So I throw that out because if you think Manhunt on the PS2 has a chance to go higher in the long term, then by default, this one's going higher in the long term. Which also means if you want this game for cheap and you don't want to pay $100 for the PS2 version, then maybe you should consider getting the Wii version. It's still a fun game. As far as I know, there's nothing wrong with this version. It's a solid version. The Wii is capable of handling this game. Got a manual? What more do you want? I'm just saying, this is the poor man's Manhunt 2. And some of you are broke, okay? I'm helping out the broke brothers out there. Okay, if you're broke, maybe you can't afford the PS2 version. And if the PS2 version's going to 200 Canadian, do you really think that this one's going to stay at 25 Canadian dollars? 25 Canadian dollars today with a chart that looks really, really good. We had a wave 1 2 or wave 1 move up here from that bottom in about 2019. $6.95 you could have paid for this. Why didn't you pay $6.95? Now you're considering paying $25. You could pay $6, buddy. This was wave 1. Perhaps this is a wave 2 moving up. Perhaps the market is saying, hey, if you're valuing Manhunt 2 on the PS2 for close to $150 sold listing on eBay, maybe $25 for the Wii version is too cheap. Maybe this needs to become a $50 game. So take that into consideration. Don't sleep on the Wii. So that was game number 7. Now we're doing game number 8. This is a much more common game. Okay, this is a common game, but hear me out. Because I know mostly we do uncommon and rare games, because those are the ones that go up in value 99% of the time. But common games can still go up in value. It's supply and demand. But this is a game that you can get for very cheap today. Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's also the biggest hidden gem Kirby game out there. And it's also the best Kirby game, in my opinion. Let me just get these inserts out of the way, because I want to show you what the CIB looks like. Once again, Nintendo Wii exclusive. Console exclusive. Yeah, it's on the 3DS. Nobody cares. We don't do 3DS on this channel. 2-player co-op. Yes, I have played this many times. 2-player co-op. Yes, this is my favorite Kirby game ever made. And it is the most unique Kirby game that's actually still really fun. So the Wii U Kirby, yes, it's a good game. Very unique. But it's not nearly as fun as this one, buddy. Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's called Epic Yarn because everything looks like yarn. Kirby's made out of yarn. The whole world is basically made out of yarn. So you know it's common. Sold 1.85 million copies worldwide. I think that includes 3DS copies though as well, and digital. So it's not a Halo. You're not going to find this on every street corner. Even though it's a first-party Nintendo game published by Nintendo, it's not so common that you're going to find it on every street corner. I want to show you the chart so that you can see the same trend that I see with your own eyes. Once again, straight line up. Once again, bottom 2019. That 99% of the time, that's the bottom of the Wii prices. 2019. Same with all the other consoles. PS3, 360 were no different. 2019 was the bottom. Back when everyone was saying, hey, ain't nobody collecting these games. Well, guess what? People are collecting them now. For a variety of reasons that I've touched on some of them already. Straight line up. I wish I could draw friggin' lines on this chart. Straight line up. Slow and steady. What's wrong with that? Slow and steady ain't bad. Used to be $7.99, $8. Today it's $17.99. Over double. Over double. Trades for about $23.75 Canadian dollars. CIB, that is about $17.60 US dollars. Recent sold listing, $30 Canadian, $25. Sells all day, every day. Plenty of sales in August. We can't even see July, there's so many sales. So it's a very high demand game. Plenty of sellers, plenty of buyers. More buyers than sellers. How do I know that? Look at the chart. More buyers than sellers. Otherwise, we'd be going the other way. It would be the exact opposite. The trend would be down, which by the way, it was from 2017 all the way to 2019. That was a nice low downtrend. This game did come out in 2010 in North America and 2011 in Europe. It is a side-scrolling platformer, but what makes it unique is that you are unable to fly and you are no longer inhaling enemies. Instead, your main gimmick is the ability to transform. You can transform into a variety of things such as a car, submarine if you're entering water, But the main premise or the main gimmick or the main funness, the funnest mechanic of the game is that you get to transform into do special transformations for certain levels. So I think it's actually the very first level, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory is correct. The very first special transformation that you get is you turn into a tank, and you can punch and shoot missiles. And even in two-player mode, you get to share that transformation. So it's not like only one player gets to transform. You are both still teaming up together. This game is designed to be two-player. And I say that a lot because I love my two-player games. I mean, no, I lied. You can play single player. It's still fun on single player, but when I first found this game, the reason that I bought this back in the day, this was one of the first Wii games that I ever bought, was because I had heard word on the street back then. I don't even remember how I heard it, to be honest. Probably a couple people told me, maybe I watched a couple of reviews, but word on the street was that this Kirby's Epic Yarn was literally one of the best two-player co-op games ever made, and I bet you it was for its time. This came out in 2010 in North America. And so put yourself back in a 2010 era. This would have been one of the best co-op games ever made at that moment in time. Probably right up until like 2015. It will still to this day it is. But they've invented so many great games since then. One of the best co-op games ever made to this day, but especially back in 2010. And so that's why I picked it up. That was what I was hearing. I had friends telling me, I probably saw some reviews, and I had to get it for myself. And yeah, it's a great game. I've never played it with somebody who didn't agree and that didn't have a blast playing it. It's a little bit easy, but what Kirby game isn't? If you don't want an easy game, don't play a Kirby game. There's no such thing as a Kirby game that's not easy, right? Kirby games are designed to be fun and not hard. The entire premise of a Kirby game is to just go in, relax, and have a good time. That's it. So all I'm saying is, do you think a chart like this is going to continue to go up in the long term? And would you rather pay $23.75 Canadian dollars today, or would you rather pay $35 to $40 or more tomorrow, depending on inflation, depending what happens with inflation? Because if we get hyperinflation, by the way, hypothetically, the price is going to go up even faster. These types of games keep up with inflation. So even though this game is common, I just want you to know, even the common but highly sought after games, they'll keep up with inflation. So if $20 gets you a loaf of bread, you ain't getting Kirby's Epic Yarn for $20. This is going to go up too. In many regards, it's going to be a hedge against inflation, or at least help you battle inflation. Might not keep up with inflation, but hey, it's going to do better than some garbage sports title that's always going to be $3 because nobody's going to buy it, even for $3. Even if $3 gets you one gummy bear at the convenience store, ain't nobody giving you $3 for your NBA garbage NFL game. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought. Please let me know if you would like to see more of these videos. I don't have a script. I just go in and I look at the charts live. I'm looking at you with them. I'm interpreting what's going on live with you together. We're doing this together. Okay. Tell you about my experiences with these games. And the main message that I'm getting across is that these games are very cheap today. But there will be a time when the FOMO stage comes. And I'll give you another quick example. My barber, she's female. She grew up on the Wii. The Wii was her NES. This was the very first game she bought when she started collecting for the Wii. So she collects for one console and one console only, and it's the Nintendo Wii because she grew up on the Nintendo Wii. This was the game she played as a kid. She's in her young 20s. I think she's 21, to be honest. I think she might be 21. She grew up on the Wii. It's her favorite console. Very first game she bought, Kirby's Epic Yarn. She played on single player, so you don't need to play multiplayer. But this, of all the Wii games she played, that's her favorite Wii game. Not Mario Galaxy, not Mario Galaxy 2, not Zelda. Kirby's Epic Yarn, the one that nobody talks about. This is the black sheep of the Kirby because people don't talk about it, but they should be talking about it. They're always talking about other Kirby games. They're not talking about Kirby's Epic Yarn. It should have sold 10 million copies. And if 10 million people, if 10 million Wii collectors try to come into the market to buy this game, there's not enough copies going around. This ain't Halo. This is not Halo 3. I don't think that would ever happen, that 10 million people would come in. I'm just saying if they did, this would be a $100, $200 game overnight, at least. Because you got to weed people out. That's how you weed them out. When the price goes up, that's how you balance the supply and demand. 10 million people want the game, but if it's $100, 9 million people drop out. Right? That's what happened. All these people complain about these Xbox 360 prices going, I wish, why can't I just pay $10 for that game? It used to be $10. Why is that game $100 now? I'm not going to buy it at $100. Well, that's why it's at $100, because you want to buy it. You and 1 million other people want to buy it for $10. That's why the game is not a $10 game. That is why the game is $100 today. That's how you balance supply and demand. Other people, the 10,000 other people out there, they're willing to pay $100 so they can get a copy. You can't get a copy. You and the other 9 million people, including myself, that would love to pay $10. Yeah, I'd love to pay $10 for Operation Darkness, all these rare games. Would love to. New York, Gunblade New York, I'd love to pay $5. But guess what? 10 million other people would love to pay $5. So it's never going to be a $5 game. There's not enough copies to go around. If it was $5, everyone and their mother would be buying it. Guys, let me know what you thought about this video. Leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and I will make more of these videos. We've done 8 games. This is 8 games total. We're going all the way to 100 Nintendo Wii games.
Rolling through the city with a pocket full of cash. Xbox 360, prices climbing fast. Got my eye on F113, gonna cop it real quick. But I gotta hustle hard, the prices are real. Yo, mom's the plug, she got the hookup, no lie. At the 7-Eleven dumpster, I buy and buy. Splatterhouse, Blue Dragon, got them in my stash. Buying red games from your mom, what I want, she has.